What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of 4 Dummies, and tonight I am joined with the other 3 dummies. I have Mr. Robert Detoff.
Hello.
Mr. Just One.
Hey, yo, what's happening?
And Mrs. Skullface.
Hello.
You can still check out the uncut version of this episode on Patreon and send in some Q&A. It's not going to happen.
Send some Q&A.
And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Tonight, we're going to have a different discussion. We're going to have a discussion. We're in person, which is great and a treat and something that doesn't happen nearly enough, in my opinion. But we're going to have a discussion as to whether or not the Transformers 86 movie is a good movie or not. And the reason why I'm having this discussion is because recently I had a friend of mine. He said he loved Transformers. Loved Transformers Season 1, loved Transformers Season 2, loved the characters, had the toys, etc., etc. And I said, what did you think of the movie? And he said, movie? With a question mark. And I said, yeah. And he's like, I didn't know there was a movie.
What?
And I was like, well, dude, you've got to see the movie. And he's like, all right, well, you know, let's get it hooked up. So now he's probably 42, 43. I watched the Transformers 86 movie with him for the first time, and he's 43.
When?
Within the last year.
Like
Wow.
Recently.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was like,
Really?
I don't think that's because it's not good inherently. I think it's because it's a movie that had to be enjoyed and consumed and respected and absorbed within a certain time frame of the franchise itself.
Yep.
So as an adult, he saw it and he was kind of like, well, who gives a about Springer and Blur and RC and whoever this guy is? Like, I don't know who these guys are. Why are we spending 2/3 of the movie on these guys that I don't know? All my favorite guys just got killed. Whereas when we were kids, we were like, oh no, our guys got killed. Let's learn about some new guys.
But the way that they did do it was kind of interesting, just like they've been there the whole time. Like, you know this old so-and-so. Like, oh, yeah, like, all right. You're like, okay, yeah, I do know those guys. Like, it's like, yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, at the time, Transformers is new. Season 1 and 2, new. You're 10, 9, whatever your age is.
Yeah.
It's all new to you. This isn't rerun city. This hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
And then you get a new aesthetic.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, in addition to the gravity of the loss of the
So
characters.
it's a big leap. I know before we get there, but it is a big leap. So think about like not only they introduced all these new characters, none of them look like any thing you've ever seen before.
Not a one.
They're all wild looking, with maybe Ultra Magnus is the only one that's like a cool,
Perceptor.
close enough. Yeah, I guess.
Blaster.
Well, Perceptor was in season 2, so was Blaster.
Was he?
So they carry on.
Yep.
You know, it's really like Blur, Springer, RC, Ultra Magnus, Hot Rod. Oh, you know, like that Cup.
Yeah, who just didn't turn. You're like, wait, what the heck?
You know, and then like Quintessons, like that's the thing, is like Quintessons seem normal to us because we grew up with them and like understand their place and like the mythology of it all. But watching this with my buddy who knows Transformers is like transform and roll out Transformers. He's sitting there watching it and being like, what in the are these things?
Like, yeah, and even like the beginning starts out with some other robotic civilization.
Yeah,
like, what the
frantic
fuck?
I love
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
I
But,
love
like,
that.
So I do too, but I think like imagine being detached from 85 to 2024. Well, let me ask Laura. So Laura saw this movie as an adult because I exposed her to it, and she didn't grow up with Transformers, obviously.
So, but I had an Astro Train.
You did have an Astro
but
Train.
I was just trying to think, like, when did this show run?
84 to 87.
So my brother and I would get to go to my grandparents' house and spend the night there, and then we would get to go to Errol's and rent a movie or whatever. But I don't think I saw the movie, and I don't really know if I knew anything about
And I don't think you've seen the shows really either.
I like Purple.
What do you think about the movie, seeing it now as like an adult, being exposed to it as an adult?
I mean, it's fine.
So it's
Wait a minute. Define fine.
So, like, I think that movie is great, but I can't separate myself from my existence that made it great.
but you understand the making of a great movie, good storytelling, good pacing, whatever. All these things. So
Are
just
you
under
you
that-
suggesting it's great movie making?
No, I think it's
he's
terrible.
saying the
I think it's a
opposite.
terrible movie.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so when I put myself with my little critical hat on, I'm like, okay, it's not good, and especially after Starscream's death, that's when it takes a nosedive, right? So like when you start around with the Alicons and the Sharkticons and the Planet of Junk and all this like that's when it starts to get goofy.
As soon as they leave Earth, it just goes downhill.
But I have this nostalgic tie to it that I can't separate from my enjoyment from it. It's not unlike the Ewoks, right?
Right.
Where like I know the Ewoks is a poorly written section of that movie, that the Emperor sent his best troops. My best troops awaits them, right? And the Ewoks overtook them with sticks and stones, and one of them threw one around his neck, right? Because they're bunch of doofs. So, like, I get that that's not good writing, but as a kid, I loved it so much that I can't separate myself from it as an adult. And I feel the same way about Transformers, the movie, is that, like, I understand that it's not good writing, but I can't take away how much I love it.
Well, I mean, I think there's different aspects to when we talk about what is writing, right? We know that our G1 season 1 and 2 Autobots, right? They're Earth vehicles, Earth things, right? Because they had to come here and disguise themselves.
Would you say Earth Angels?
Earth Angels. But in the
ones you
movie,
adore?
the new aesthetic is actually the original aesthetic. They're Cybertronian. They never had to adapt. Right? So immediately, aesthetically, visually, they're telling you there's something larger. The Earth part is a smaller part. And then later on in the story, you get pulled out into the universe, into the galaxy.
Yeah.
And then you see, okay, wait, planet of junk. Wait, where do they come? Quintessons.
But they established that right in the beginning. The very first scene is establishing that there's this whole other civilization out there.
I just think it's
not Cybertron.
I just think that's it's. I think
When's
it
the last
pulls
time
you
you
out.
guys have all watched the movie? I
been
feel
a
like
while.
you watched it yesterday.
No, it's been
It's been a while, but I've seen
a
it
long
so
time.
many
Yeah,
times.
me too. I've seen it enough just throughout my life.
But I like the, I don't know, it was just like you have like specific writing, execution, but then there's the general idea of how you've got this the long war, but then you've got the battle on Earth, the battle for Earth, and then this war continues out into space, right? You have casualties and stuff. But okay, the Decepticons obviously win. The Autobots are on their heels. They're scattered to the winds.
Which is a cool concept to start.
And then there's a bigger picture. It's not just.
So
it's
I
not
do
just
think-
the,
But
it's
is
not
it-
just
is
the quintessons. It's also above all of them. Unicron coming. Like, I loved how layered that was. Maybe not execution in the writing and everything, but yeah, it's just there are lots of layers going on in this whole idea in this movie.
Was that your take from the very beginning that the Decepticons were winning the war?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
at 4.
I felt very pessimistic. That's why the scene when Optimus comes in, that's like a microcosm of the overall story. The Autobots are kicked in Autobot City, and then Optimus comes, and the blast is bouncing off of him, and he's kicked.
But how much of the greatness of that movie does depend on the first 20 minutes?
Oh, so much.
All of it. It's
It's all of it.
up until it's good up until they leave Earth, and then it's bad until the very end when they all.
I respectfully submit.
Dude, I knew as a kid Wheelie sucked.
No.
I did too.
Yeah.
Come on, as a kid, I loved his voice.
No, dude.
I loved how he
And
was
that's
like a
wild, 'cause
little
you were an older
mischievous
kid.
prick.
You were older. You were an older
I
kid.
was 10.
Yeah, and I was 5, and I was like, "This is corny," and you were like, "This is great."
I loved it.
You were probably
I
a
watched that
pretty,
movie alone. I had no friends.
pretty cool kid. I
With a
bet.
bag of homemade popcorn. I was such a loser. I walked to the movie theater alone. My mom wouldn't even give me money for popcorn. She gave me a bag of homemade popcorn, one of those brown bags.
I can't shake this experience that I've had with my buddy watching it. And like seeing somebody absorb that movie for the first time as an adult, it was heartbreaking.
You have to not know anything else exists besides season 1 and 2. You have to not know anything else, no other exposure whatsoever to see that movie and then determine whether you like it or not. I think that's what the impact was in that movie. There was novelty.
But I think not only is it knowing season 1 and
But
2,
all 3 of you saw it after you had been watching the show.
yeah, it's living it in real time.
Yeah.
Like it's almost unique in that way.
It's trailbreaking.
Where in order to really appreciate it, you had to live through it in real time.
And I respectfully submit that season 3 helped make the movie worse because Rodimus was a like he became nothing. Rodimus became like bleh.
See, I actually think that's an interesting take on a leader in season 3.
Yeah,
Because it's kind of the antithesis of Prime, right? Like where
the
Prime was like
reluctant leader.
Prime was the leader that was born to lead, and then Rodimus is the reluctant leader that doesn't want to lead, that was in that position and felt like this is not what I signed up for.
Okay,
Like,
but do you think maybe the quality of season 3, which arguably, isn't as good as 1 and 2?
no, see, I think 3 is better than 2.
You think?
Yeah, I think 2 is the worst, especially the second half of season 2. I think it's dreadful.
Like you talking about just the quality of the
The
stories and
writing,
stuff?
like
Yeah.
Power Glide falling in love with a girl and all that, like really, really stupid. I think it goes 1, 3, 2. I think season 3 gets an unfair judge because it's more of a sci-fi show than a kid's adventure show.
Right, because it's in space.
Yeah, it's in space. But I think like the therapy planet, I think like the thing where they live the whole thing in nightmares and stuff. Like I think that stuff is more interesting than, Power Glide falling in love with
I think about this. If you
woman
didn't
in a
see the
yellow
movie,
dress.
If you didn't see the movie, just season 3 comes out and you're like, what the heck?
So that's another
Yeah.
thing, right? Is like kids that lived the experience, their parents didn't take them to the theater for the limited time it was out because it didn't perform well. And then all of a sudden they just turn on cartoons and they're like, who the
Right.
These
Prince
guys.
Optimus.
Like, I don't think I saw it in the theater. I don't remember seeing it in the theater. I just remember seeing it like on VHS when VHS became a thing.
So the one thing I remember about seeing that movie in the theater for the first time, prime dying, and how f***ed up I was, the fact that laser beams kind of counted now.
Yep.
You know, like before
right.
you got shot by a laser, you fell down, you shook it off. Now all of a sudden you get shot by a laser, you're dead meat. What has changed here? And I only really recognized it as being serious when I saw the fire coming out of Prowl's mouth.
Right,
That's when I was
right.
like, oh, this matters now.
That's when you were like, oh, that's I think what set it off.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I think it's so good is because it's like all of a sudden like, oh, wait a minute. Like,
Yeah,
dude,
there's
they're
real
dying,
consequences now.
There's lots of awesome scenes.
Of course, but I think they're awesome to us because we live through the experience in real time. I don't know if it works retroactively because I think that the whole we're killing off a generation of toys to make a new generation of toys, the cynicism in that speaks to adults differently when they watch it for the first time than it does to kids because kids they're not looking for that. So they're just looking for the stories and the characters. Do these characters, connect with me? Do I think they're cool? Okay, I don't think Wheelie's cool. I think Blur's a little obnoxious, but Springer seems cool. RC seems cool. Hot Rod seems cool. I'm in for them. Ultra Magnus is whatever. He's fine. Like Galvatron's cool. Cyclonus is cool. Scourge is like a grandpa, but also a soldier. It's weird, but like,
Right.
I'm in, and like I think there's enough there for a kid to like carry them forward. And then I think by the time that you get to season 3, and it's like Predacons, and now you're back to tigers and animals and that kids like, and dragons with the Terracons. You're just like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
But I think it's rough. I think it's a rough watch for an adult that doesn't know it exists.
The music is great too. I mean,
Yeah,
that helps that helps a show movie.
You got the touch.
I think that's why people like
got the
White
touch.
Lotus, honestly.
You got it.
Got the power.
So I want 2 scores. I want a score of what it means to you and what do you think it is objectively.
What I think it is objectively. So it's hard because I can only apply my sensibilities today, so it's going to be harsh. So I would say it's probably like a 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what it means to me is it's a 9 or a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would probably give it a 5 or a 6 in both.
Yeah.
So I give it a 5 objectively, but it's a 9.5 for me as what it means to me personally.
Right.
Yeah, same.
Same?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
2
about
microphones.
Astro Train.
The
whatever that-
Japanese Astro Train, the white and black one.
Arrows.
It was
Googly eyes.
and